One Tree Hill.
Greetings, Starfighters. Welcome to Mad Science Films. I'm Jimmy P, filmmaker, sexual astronaut. And this week is a very special episode. I'm joined by a very special guest. He may well be the most prolific filmmaker of the last 18 months. It's one-man music video maestro, Tom Hughes of Ritual Video. Hello, Tom. How's it going, man?
Really awesome intro.
You were talking about like how small the crew is and obviously how small the cast is. I mean, from an outside perspective anyway, that appears to be the best type of filmmaking during lockdown, really. I mean, if you're going out and often, mate, you know, you're going out to exterior locations or whatever. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, was that kind of luck, or was that, you know, part of the plan, or?
It was necessity. It was because I've got asthma. I don't want to get COVID. I'm really, really careful. I have been the entire time, you know. I got the jabs. I'm wearing a mask. I'm keeping space from people because I just don't want to risk it. My lungs aren't good enough. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and also because my fiance is doing so many weddings, I'm trying to look after her and make sure she's okay as well. So when COVID happened, I had to cut down from having a whole bunch of people to literally just me doing everything just for safety. If I can get 2 actors and I can meet them outside so they're not in a house, because you couldn't be in a house at the time. But it was also like a necessity thing. I couldn't get any grants at all because I hadn't been self-employed long enough. Like I couldn't get any of there was no government support at all for the first however many months. Like the first grant I got was November. So April to November, I had to get on the dole just to be able to cover my bills and thing. And I had to keep working to keep us going, really. So that's another reason why you're like, oh, you're so prolific last year. I was like, I had to still go out and make stuff. Nice. And I had to go and shoot it in places that were out the way. I only used people that I trusted. I only used people that I'd known for ages, and everyone was super careful, and we did everything above board. I've got so used to doing it that way, I couldn't go back. I like being right there with the camera because I've always shot in a really run and gun way anyway. And when I'm there shooting and I'm directing at the same time I'm shooting, we're just getting what I need so much quicker, you know, removing the need to explain everything to a DP and go off to one side and chat with an actor between takes. I literally don't need to do that anymore because it's music videos and there's no sound.
Yeah,
I can just direct as I'm shooting. It's just great. It's such a fast, streamlined process now. And because my camera assistant knows me so well, knows how I work so well, and knows kind of what I'm going to ask for a lot of the time, it just goes as a really smooth thing. And it's his girlfriend that does the makeup on most of my stuff. So they come together. They've been in the same household, nice and safe. You know, it works. Works good. I am going to use a DP again when I shoot now, like a film. I'm doing a web series. I might do a web series soon, or if I do, I'll be using a DP. I might do a feature next year, and if I do, I'll be using a DP. I probably won't shoot it myself. But music videos, I think I'm just going to keep shooting it myself.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I love the fact that it was born out of necessity. But you know, absolutely, it's become you know, a feature, not a bug, if you like. I mean, you know, I'm always nervous when people say, "Oh, yeah, no, I'm my own DP," but definitely with the stuff you've shot over the past year and a half, it's been beautiful, mate. It's been absolutely amazing. Okay, all right.
It's definitely like I was struggling at the start, but because I'm also shooting weddings with my fiance, and I'm shooting handheld and I'm pulling focus constantly all day because I refuse to use autofocus ever. I don't trust it. So I'm shooting 10, 12-hour wedding days that have to be in focus every Saturday. And this has helped. It's got me really sharp. So now I'm setting up shots and getting them sharp and pulling while I'm walking. And, you know, it works, man.
I've done wedding videos. I hate doing them, but I've done them. And I will say they are the best training because you don't want to piss off the client at all. So I've done the 12-hour days where it's been like absolutely burning sunshine. You're outdoors and you've got ridiculously long lenses, and you're just going for it and just grabbing as much as you can.
And you've got to be so quick to get stuff too. Like
you can't ask them to do it again
prep or whatever. When there's moments there, and you're going to miss them if you're checking focus or you're framing. So your framing and focus has got to be within the first 10 seconds of picking the camera up, boom, and then you know, which is great for music videos because it's made me loads quicker, you know.
How long do you tend to shoot for, like in terms of length of the shoot?
I tend to do 2 shoot days for most things.
Mm-hmm.
I don't do long days. I don't do crazy times. We have lunch. I basically stopped working on film sets because I was so sick of doing 12-hour days and eating energy bars and being knackered, and everybody being like, oh, well, I've done 12 days in a row and I'm not tired. I'm like, well, fuck this, dude. I don't want to be tired and knackered and pissed off and stuff all the time. I want to be relaxed and enjoy myself. So I start at 9 or 10 and I shoot until 5 or 6. The thing I'm shooting Sunday is blue hour, just before dusk. So I'm meeting the actor at 6 and we're blocking it, and then we're shooting it at 7 and I'll be home by 8:30, 9. You know, and that's I do things really, I do it as nicely as I can for everybody coming, you know. And I don't, when I started directing, I was doing long days because I thought that's how you had to do it. Because I was like, oh, well, this is how the industry does it. So, but the whole thing about me doing music videos has been me going, okay, I don't want to be part of the industry. I don't want to work in it. I don't want to work for the BBC. I'll do the occasional low budget feature for friends because I like the people that I work on with features. They're lovely people. But apart from that, this whole thing was me going, okay, how can I create the working environment that I want to have, and how can I do something that's nice for everyone and relax for everyone? And it ends up being the same when you make shorts. It ends up being a family thing because everybody comes back, you know, and you use the same actors and crew for things all the time, and they know I'm going to pay them the next day as well. That's another thing that I do is there's the day after we shoot, I send you the money every single time. You know?
I've had that. I've had an actor kind of like absolutely freak out and say, have you paid me already? And I was like, well, yeah, we wrapped, it's fine. And they're like, that's never happened. I'm like, well, there you go. Remember that next time I'm asking, you know, you to come on board. But yeah, it's mad. And yeah, I hate, especially on the big budget industry stuff, I hate people who have it as a badge of honor that they've done, you know, like, as you say, like, you know, like these ridiculously 18-hour days, 7 days a week. And I'm like, you're the BBC. Why is that a badge of honor? You know, you have the budget to do reasonable working hours.
To do extra days. Yeah.
It's mad. Absolutely mad.
I think the main thing that turned me off was I realized that unless you really, really love doing whatever role you're doing on set, and I've been a data wrangler on things, and I've been an AC on things, and I've done sound on mates films and things. I've done a bunch of different departments. But unless you really love what you're doing, or you're one of those people who wants to be like, oh, I worked on sex education last week, and then next week I'm doing, if you're one of those guys, then cool, you know what I mean? Because then you get to tell other people like that how well you're doing. But if your self-worth isn't coming from who hires you or what jobs you're working on, then it has to come from, are you happy with what you're doing? Are you moving towards where you want to be? And if you know, if this was it and you didn't get to make anything else, have you been happy with what you're doing? And that's always what I go to, because I was kind of playing the game a bit and I was like, this isn't me.
Yeah,
you know,
I agree, mate. I mean, it might be because like I just turned 40, so you know, I might be too old for that. Sounded like
well, that's how I feel though. I'm 35. You know, I feel the same way. Like I was like, it's the same with kitchens. I was working in kitchens till I was 30, and I was like, I can't keep doing this. I'm going to burn out, man. I can't stay here till I'm 55. And I was like, oh, I'll do films. This is how the film industry works. And I worked in the film industry, and I was like, no, I don't think I can keep this going till I'm 55 either. So I was like, I have to find a way to do what I love doing and have some kind of creative output without destroying myself or putting myself through a whole bunch of stuff where I'm like unhealthy and
that's great. That's what you've done though, mate, is you've kind of defined success in your own terms, and as long as you're hitting that, then you're great.
Exactly.
Absolutely. You know, going back to what you were saying about I've been a runner on sex education. It's like, if that's your idea of success, then great, hats off to you. And don't get me wrong, like, you know, there is special prides in place, like with our first film, we had like limited theatrical like screenings in Cineworlds, and that was lovely to be able to drag my mum and dad along to the cinema. And you know, they had a photo in front of the poster and made the world to them. But since then, I've learned exactly as you, mate. It's got to be a project I'm passionate about, and what that comes with is keeping the crews small and keeping the shooting days reasonable. Got like a regular troupe, and I'm guessing that the reason they keep coming back is because they love A, the final product, but B, just, you know, like shooting with you.
I've been really lucky to find people who understand what I'm doing, because when you're doing really low budget stuff and it is kind of horror based or metal based, I think you're gonna end up asking people to do some weird shit. So,
and it's not for everybody. It's not for everybody.
You're not doing like two shots and over the shoulders chatting across the table. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna have to run through the woods barefoot. You're gonna be covered in blood. You know, so it takes a certain kind of person, and all the people that I work with are really enthusiastic about pushing themselves to do something. And I think that's the main thing, is like, like I said, I'm always going for whatever I'm doing. So I was really lucky because I found early on some people who were really good actors, but who are also the kind of people you need, the kind of people who are like, does anybody need a water?
Yeah.
You know, let me hold an umbrella over your camera for you if it starts pissing down. Like,
yeah.
You need those kind of people. You need low budget people who understand what it is. And people like Derek Nelson, man, like, I haven't worked with him recently, but Derek is doing every low budget horror film he can get his hands on all across the country. He's doing them back to back. He's doing them for like, you know, he's doing them as much as he can because he absolutely loves it. And like, working with somebody like that, you know, he's going to pick up the actors for me and bring them there. You know, he's going to act all day. He's going to help me sort out things. He's going to help me with the camera. He's going to take, like, he'll take the camera as I'm using a A7R2, but like, if I was using something bigger, he would be pulling it off my shoulder in between takes, because I've seen him do it on set. So he's that kind of guy, you know.
Yeah, that's
the main thing, is like just having.
Yeah, and it helps, like, because it's not just on you to provide the energy. If you've got actors who are also just excited to be there and love movies and love making movies, ideally if they love making horror movies, then the energy on set, you know, just, and that shows in the final product as well, mate. So
and I always try to give actors enough space as well, because I know exactly what I want, because I can just imagine it in my head anyway. So because I've written it, I've already been living with it for probably 3 weeks before we shoot anyway. I don't storyboard anything, but I have a shot list on my phone and I know exactly what I need to get. So there's no point where I don't really feel out of control with what I'm doing, or like I'm not sure what I'm doing. But because I know what I need, if I get that take, there's enough space for actors to do what they want to do as well, you know. And so many times, you know, people like Mandy Rose or like Emma Stacey, or, you know, I tend to work with women more than men because I like women more than men. I get on with women better than I get on with men. Most of my protagonists tend to be women, just because I prefer women, honestly. I prefer talking to women just as people. So like, I'm more invested in with female protagonists. So I tend to cast the same actors because I know they can deliver on things that I need and hit the beats that I need, but also because they have ideas. You know, they've got ideas about the character. They've got ideas about things they could do to make things. I mean, like, Emma is always the first person to be like, do you think I should have more blood on me when I do that, though?
The other good thing is that directors talk to each other. Like, you know, you and me, we've had chats and like, oh, you know, have you worked with this guy or this? So it's important for actors as well to kind of, you know, like, be switched on and realize that how they conduct themselves as well gets passed around. Because, you know, like, if somebody asks me and I had a bad experience with an actor, you know, I'd tell them the full, you know, what happened from my
I would too.
So,
yeah, because I know how hard it is. It's been quite rare, but there has been occasions where I've had difficulties with actors, and it's never been a problem on the day, but I will always quietly make a mental note to myself, okay, I don't want to have to get your attention or try and talk over you or interrupt you if you're chatting to somebody. I just want you to just turn around and just chat to me in between takes, really. And there's been a few times where I've had to be like, hey, you know. And that's the only really like turn off that I've had with actors, is if people aren't like listening or whatever. Because as a person, I pay a lot of attention and I kind of note everything down. But I'm quite quiet because I'm an introvert as well. So I'm directing, but I'm a complete introvert and I don't like being the center of attention. I don't want to be out with loads of people, which is another reason why I keep the thing small, because it makes it manageable for me, you know. Because when I started, like I said, I was doing a lot bigger stuff with a lot of bigger crews. And I thought, if you want to be a director, you have to be Francis Ford Coppola, you know what I'm saying? And you have to have everybody around, and you have to be yelling on the megaphone. And then kind of with the pandemic stuff, I was like, okay, I don't need to be this filmmaker guy. I don't need to be this director I thought I needed to be, because my whole trajectory before the pandemic was, I'm going to do these music videos for money. I'm going to put that money into a feature. I'm going to make the feature. I'm going to get it into Fright Fest. I'm going to go to all the festivals. I'm going to be on the circuit. I'm going to be that guy. Then the pandemic happened, and I stopped and thought about things. I got engaged. You know, I'm saving to buy a house next year. We're getting married next year. Things changed in my life. And I was like, I don't need to be this big director person. You know, I need to just find a way to do it and be myself. And if I can be calm and speak to people calmly, and just hire intelligent people who understand what I'm doing and what's going on, and we share ideas, and it's a collaborative, like more of an artistic outlet than a job, then I'm, you know, that's kind of what I was like, okay, that'll go that way instead. That's why I've made such a shift over the last maybe year or something, you know.
I think we all go on that journey. I mean, I know on my third curb crawlers, I had a ridiculous number of runners, and like it felt like a prestige thing. You know, you've got to have all these runners, and they were great.
Yeah,
I didn't have enough work for them, so like, you know, like the crew photo for that is ridiculous, and then compare that to the crew photo for Little Monster, which was the feature after. Like, we had as much crew on Little Monster as we had runners on curb crawlers, and it was ridiculous. But absolutely, you think that's, you know, that's the measure of success, is, you know, how big a stick you're wielding, and it's just not. It's part of the game, and it's the same reason then you end up with like 18-hour days, and all of this is more people, more efficiency. It just means more things to go wrong and more delays because you're passing things down a chain which isn't needed. So absolutely.
I think once you work out what your lane is, then you're okay. Like, and look at the other people who we know that are doing it, like the Myco guy. What was, I can't think of his name.
MJ Dixon.
Yeah, so MJ Dixon found his lane, and just stayed in his lane, and just nailed it, feature after feature, until he knew exactly. And I watched his shorts too. Like, even when he was doing shorts, you could tell that's what he's doing, and he's doing it well. You know, like, there's something to be said for finding the way you make films, not subscribing to the way films are made. I think, you know, I mean, or somebody like Charlie Steeds in London, who is doing films at a level where, like, he's making really amazing low budget features, and he's going somewhere. Guaranteed he will be one of the big names in British horror in our lifetime. Guaranteed. There's no doubt in my mind. But Charlie has no crew. Charlie's shooting his own stuff. He's directing his own stuff. He's got a sound guy he uses all the time, and he's using Derek Nelson once again, who is producing and driving and doing lunch and acting. You know what I mean? Like, he's done the same thing. He's honed down what he wants to do, and he uses a really small crew, and he does it the same way every time. But he just incrementally gets better, and the budgets get bigger, and he gets more recognition and stuff. I think staying power and like figuring out where you want to be, and then staying there and repeating that process until you get good is the way to do it. Like, a lot of people I know have been making films since they were young. You know, like I was making things when I was maybe 11, 12. I was like animating my figures on a digital 8 camera with the pause button, you know. And then I shot some stuff, and I did media in college when I was like 16, which I failed because I didn't do the paperwork. But like, everybody there was doing comedies, or, well, pretty much mostly comedies, or maybe romantic things. And I was doing full on Tarantino ripoffs, you know, like I cast every guy with a mustache in the college because they had mustaches, right? I put them in suits, and I was shooting full on gangster films. But then I stopped making films then from maybe about 18 to like 30. So it's only been 5 years I've actually been kind of making films again, and learning how to make films. So I feel like if I stay doing what I'm doing, then by the time I'm like 40, then I should be able to make something. I'm like, okay, that feels like a proper film now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, absolutely. I mean, moving on to kind of locations and stuff like that, one of the things consistently I think you do really well is, and I think it's one of the benefits of being in Wales, is you absolutely get like amazing production value out of the locations that you use. And I think it matches well with the genre of the music that you're doing as well. You know, if you're looking at black metal, death metal, that kind of stuff.
I think I've lived in a lot of different areas of Wales. I've moved during lockdown, so I've just opened up West Wales for myself, and there's a whole bunch of new places to explore here. But the thing is when you live here, you don't appreciate it as much. But Wales is such a beautiful, amazing place. And these bands from America or whatever, it's as exotic to them as somebody to shoot something in South America and send it to me, you know. So I think there's so much to use here. And when you've grown up here and you know all the places, because I've always just loved nature. I've always been out walking. I've always been in forests and like graveyards. Like I love spooky stuff. I love being out in nature. So put those two things together, and that's pretty much my locations anyway. It's like, where can I go that either looks epic or looks kind of creepy and is out the way, because I don't want to be bothered by people. I don't want dog walkers to be in my way. I don't want to shoot in a city centre with a bunch of busy people, and I don't want to hire a studio and be paying £100 a day for a dark room. So I tend to purposely go to out the way places where I can get away with doing whatever I want to do, and I go to places where I can link 3 or 4 locations together. You know, so there was a video I did for a band called Crystal Spiders last year, which was Derek and Mandy on kind of a Natural Born Killers style rampage. I must have linked, I don't know, maybe like 6-8 locations together to make that world happen. And yeah, because I've been to all these places and I'm always looking for locations and stuff anyway. I can kind of knit all these locations together in my head that might be half-hour away from each other, but then they'll end up looking like kind of a similar place.
Are you pretty much running and gunning, or are you securing locations, or just going out and grabbing?
I'm usually running and gunning. I'm going there before, so I'll use the Maidenhair one as an example. So I went to Druidstone. I've been looking for everywhere for a cave, okay? And there are caves in the valleys, and there's like Cheddar Gorge, and there's all these places you can pay for, and there's all these places that are dangerous and hard to get into. Like there's one, Llangattock, up by Crickhowell, which I've been to before, and I tried to find again. I could not find this cave to save my life. Right? So I was just traipsing around the mountain for ages. I got lost. My fiance was angry at me. We were up a mountain. I was like, oh, this is terrible. But like I found this cave that I could get into from the beach. We went to check it out. You could go down onto the beach. You could walk across these rocks. You could get in a cave. I was like, okay, I can do this entire Maidenhair video in one morning at this location. The only parking there is at this hotel that didn't allow parking. So I went inside and I spoke to somebody and I said, listen, I'm going to come here next Wednesday and I'm going to be here from 9 a.m. till 12 p.m. You know, can I just park my car here? It'll be 2 cars. Yeah, no worries at all. So I go back the next week and I park a car, and as soon as I pull my handbrake out, this woman is just bounding down the car park towards me. She's pissed. And she's like, you can't park here. What are you doing here? You know, so I have to convince this woman that I did speak to somebody inside. I am not going to be taking much time. As I'm in the middle of convincing, Emma and her dad pull up, and she's like, another bloody car. I'm like, Jesus Christ. Then the main actor turns up, this guy Neil, and like, I got to convince this woman, okay, look, just give me like 2 hours. We'll park these 3 cars here. I'll go down to the beach. I'll shoot a video. I'll come back. You know, and I ended up having to basically use the sympathy card and be like, look, I've driven an hour to be here. These guys have driven an hour to be here. This is for a job. It's not for fun. Like, I need this. And she was cool then, eventually. She was mad at me, but she was cool. I go down onto the beach and the tide is completely in. There's no beach. Okay. And it's like 10 o'clock now. And I'm like, are you crazy? Like, I checked the tide times. I thought it was going to be out. So you can't even get around the first corner, and the cave is around the second corner of the beach. So I give a half hour and I shoot the stuff where he wakes up on the beach with the tide completely in, with a couple who are like, I think they're sightseers, and they're just like amazed at this man in armor, and they just kind of stand there like that, just looking, just smiling. They're not even saying anything. And like, there's 2 people watching me, and like the beach finally starts to come out so you can actually see it. And we go around the first corner and it's just rocks and sea. There is no second beach. So then I wait there for a bit, and it's like 11. And I'm like, we're going to have to just go. I had to like say to the actors, okay, we can walk across these rocks by the ocean to the cave, and we can shoot it right now, and then we can leave. Or we can wait an hour or so, and then we can go across. And to their credit, they were both like, let's just walk across them now, it'll be fine, you know. So that was probably the most kind of dodgy one. But we got across there, we managed to get it. We dropped the fire torch into water maybe 4 minutes before it needed to be on camera, at the very edge of the cave entrance.
Yeah.
So then I'm trying to dry like a flammable thing. That's when it was hard to, but yeah, it came out good, man. I pretty much always do it the same way. I'll constantly recce when I'm doing everything. On days out, my fiance thinks we're just having a nice day out, but I'm also constantly like, oh, that'll be good. Maybe I could shoot this way, this way.
I'm glad I'm not the only one.
I can't turn it off.